Hi Kiwi! Alright, we're back with Isaac. I am going to continue to ramble about the Super Smash Bros. Roster and pick up where we left off. Starting off with another speed challenge, we're going to talk about Dr. Mario and how I think he should be cut. And not just because of my rivalry with the CPU, level 9 CPU in Smash Ultimate, although that would be a good reason. He has been the bane of my existence for learning characters. I don't know what about him. He's just, his AI absolutely wrecks me. Sometimes. Again, I figured out the secret is to just abuse platforms because apparently AIs just don't know how to, oops, smack the mic, sorry. AIs don't know how to platform. Okay, I don't think this is useful for the speedrun challenge, so not great. Golden bombs might be good here, so I'm going to try and take that though. And let's pop our head in the shop just in case there's a free something or other. Why would there be a free something or other? I don't know. Wait, maybe I do this. Not worth it. Waste of time. Okay, let's go. Get the free bomb. I am wasting so much time on this first floor for anything. Anything that might make it the run. It will not be the run. Okay, it's the run. Guppy Dream is live. Here we go. Oh, what? Saved it. Nice. Guppy, 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 Guppy. If I get Guppy, there's like a 4% chance. I don't know why I chose 4, but there's a 4% chance I get Guppy on this run. Realistically speaking, this run is already over because I started it, and we know how my runs usually go. I've also wasted an immeasurable amount of time on the first floor of a run where you're supposed to be speedrunning effectively. But who knows? Okay, drop bomb. I didn't mean to drop a bomb there. Got the key. Alright, well at least we're not starting off this run without keys again. We seem to do that a lot. Guppy's head is actually not going to do very much until I get more things to go with it. But again, just the thought of being 1/3 to Guppy gives this run hope. Need something like Car Battery to like really make it pop off, or of course Hive Mind is it, I think? The one that boosts your fly damage. We'll see what I get. Anyway, I like that Monster was jumping to the beat of the song there. Alright, Monster dead. So, Dr. Mario. Ooh, okay. Not expecting a double deal item on the first floor for free. Damage up, always welcome. We'll take the left. Right. I have hope. Not high hope, but this run has actually given me the worst thing that Isaac has ever done to me, and that is some form of hope, because I know Isaac giveth and Isaac taketh away, and it loves to taketh away. Whoa! Ooh, I think that increases my chances of getting keys. Glitter bombs, not amazing, but more bombs means more chances for soul rocks, or soul hearts from tinted rocks, rather. Oh, I really did not need to take that damage, but one gurgling down immediately is huge on this boss fight. Oh, I'm locking myself in. Wow, okay. That's an HP up, I think. Alright, one of those is Book of Belial, one of those is damage. We'll take this, right? Because that's not Satanic Babel, no. Alright, what do we got? 2 of clubs. Take that. That's a lot of bombs. Ace of hearts, no. 2 of hearts, no. Lovers, no. The world, yes. We'll save this for a later floor, but it'll help us find our way through. My mind is racing on this run, so it is hard to dialogue, but let's see. Alright, so we were talking about Dr. Mario. So I think I probably hammered home the fact that Dr. Mario and I have a bit of a sordid history together. But if I'm looking at him objectively in terms of characters that deserve to stay in Smash and not basing it exclusively on personal bias, there is no reason to keep Dr. Mario in the game over regular Mario. He is one step short of being an Echo Fighter to begin with, and Dr. Mario, I mean, I do think it had some relevance with NSO, with Nintendo Switch Online games, but I have no... I don't see it as enough to warrant his continued existence in Smash. So yeah, we're cutting Dr. Mario. Next up on the chopping block, Pichu. Okay, yeah, definitely cutting Pichu. We have Pikachu. Pichu is, like Dr. Mario, kind of one step away from being an Echo Fighter. Its identity is that it is smaller than Pikachu, and that it harms itself when dealing damage, which is exactly what you want in a character for a fighting game. I don't actually know what D7 does, but we're keeping Guppy's head. No questions asked. It's damage. We need damage. Speaking of which, I've actually got a surprising amount of damage from all the Double Deal items I've pulled already, which is great. That's what we want to see. It'd be great if I could hit that. Oh well. Alright, Mega Fatty hopefully can... Okay, too far out of his range. So let's see if I can kite him towards a barrel. This guy is so damn tanky. Oops. Didn't need to take that damage. But I guess the Black Heart speeds things along, so we'll call it a speedrun strat. Honestly, if he starts sucking in, I'm throwing a bomb at him. Not sure why he hasn't used his, like, really annoying move yet, but... There, well, he used it, and I let it happen. Alright, he's dead. There we go, got a belt. Double Deal. Void. Ooh, Void could be big, but I think I lose... I don't want Brimstone Bombs, and I don't think giving up an HP for the Void is worth it. Because I can spam Guppy's head a lot more than I can spam the Void. And the Void takes more thought than I can give during a speedrun challenge. I'm also getting hit way more now. I think the run is throwing. Alright, I think I'm throwing the run. Hopefully I can find a shop and buy a Soul Heart. I don't have keys for it, never mind. Okay, anyway, so yeah, Pichu's identity in Smash was as a joke character, which fighting games are known for doing. Very often fighting games will have either like a secret bonus character that's meant to be like the fun or the joke character. I remember there was a Naruto game I played back in the day. Might have been Ninja Storm, I can't really remember. Pardon me. Sorry, I get really phlegmy when I talk for too long for some reason. Anyway, so there was a Naruto game I played back in the day, and the secret character was one of the other characters' pet dog, which, to be fair, that was a dog that fought. But the dog was objectively broken because it was so small its hitbox couldn't be hit by most of the cast that didn't have, like, ground-based attacks. So it was really hard to deal with and just became, like, top tier for that reason alone. But, Pichu has a similar effect. Pichu is able to, because it's small, it can actually dodge certain characters' attacks altogether because its hitbox is too small. Ganondorf, I believe, is one classic example. If you know Ganondorf's forward tilt, where he does like the Sparta kick, like just the straight kick out, can't hit Pichu. I think if Pichu's standing, but especially if Pichu's crouching. Let's not touch that. Other than that, who else? Well, anyway, yeah, Pichu's getting cut. Pichu is just worse Pikachu at this point. It has the exact same moveset, just harms itself and is smaller, so it gets an inherent advantage from that. It's not a perfect one-to-one. Pichu's forward tilt, for example, is a horrifyingly strong kill move. But, yeah, I don't think it's hard to choose Pichu here on this list. No one should... There's a reason why Pichu was cut after Melee anyway. That's a bomb. It's not gonna hit. And then, okay, well, that's that run. I'm going to do the bomb challenge again. What is it? Got Your Brain, or what is it called? Let's see. Brains. We're going to do Brains again, because that one did feel doable. It's just hard. Curse of the Labyrinth. Cool. Guess we'll get a double deal and see what it gives us. Hopefully something... What I need are orbitals, I think. I have the damage. I need survivability, which means I need a way to sustain my HP... and I need a way to avoid damage where possible. You move so slow. What's my movement speed? It is 0.7. Yeah, I am painfully slow in terms of movement speed. Anyway, so we talked about Pichu. Next up, Falco. Falco is another one I'm going to cut, unfortunately. In terms of space characters, meaning Fox, Falco, and Wolf, I think Falco has the funnest personality of them all. He's also the most memed character, I would say, and if I had to choose between keeping Fox and Falco from a personal standpoint, I would probably choose Falco. I think he's way more I think he's the funner character of the two between Fox and Falco. And we call them Spaceys. The Spaceys, since Melee well, actually since 64, have always had a position in the highest tiers in terms of who are the best characters. Fox was, I think, tier 2 in Smash 64. He was tier 1 or tier 2, depending on who you wanted to pick between Fox and Falco. In Melee. In Brawl, I think he was like top 5, maybe. I don't know where he is in Smash 4. I think he fell off a little bit in Smash 4. There was no avoiding that, unfortunately. And Falco has started to fall off because he stopped being a carbon copy of Fox in Smash, I want to say Brawl, but especially in Smash 4, they really tried to give him his own kind of style in terms of what his abilities do, to some degree. But I would say Falco is, to me, the funner character, but Fox is the titular character. You can't really get rid of him in favor of Falco. I feel like that is not how it can be done, unfortunately. If I'm going to have representation from a game, it has to be the titular character, because that's who they are. But I digress. That's the story on Falco. Unfortunately, he doesn't make the cut. If I had to choose him between him and Fox, personally, I would choose him over Fox. Oh, good, movement speed. I can actually do things, maybe. Anyway, let's see. I need to get this out of the way. You know what would be really good on this run? Not Hive Mind, Best Friends, I think it is. I feel like we just saw these abilities in the last run in a Devil Room. Still don't want either of them, and the Devil Beggar is a terrible decision when I can only get Soul Hearts, so I guess no Devil Deal for me this run. Oh, maybe I'll get the Chalice on the next floor. Wouldn't that be awesome? Pipe dream after pipe dream, right? Anyway, so yeah, we're getting rid of Falco. Next up, Marth. Marth, I think we keep, and the reason for that is, oh, another Curse of the Labyrinth. Interesting. I feel that Marth, for some reason, has become like the popular Fire Emblem character. I'm not really sure why. I mean, obviously he was the main character of the first Fire Emblem game, I believe. Again, my experience with Fire Emblem series, the Fire Emblem series as a whole, is I played the remake of I think it's the first game, Shadow Dragon, on the DS when it came out way back in the day. And that was my first ever Fire Emblem game. And then I played Awakening, which was probably what brought Fire Emblem back into the public eye for a lot of people in the West. Chrom was a super lovable, popular character. The game as a whole had a great story by my metric. Pardon me. We definitely take Book of Revelation here. If I could get Librarian, it wouldn't actually do anything for me because I can't shoot. So I was honestly thinking about it, and then I realized, oh, no, that's a terrible decision. I shouldn't do that. Anyway. So yeah, Marth is popular, I would say. He's made a cameo in pretty much every recent Fire Emblem game in some capacity or another. And so I do think he deserves his I think he does. Oh, okay. That would make sense that would explode if I walked on it, but I didn't think it would for some reason. Oops. Anyway, I think Marth is popular enough, and he was the first Fire Emblem character in Smash. I think he's earned his right to stay. With the caveat being, I don't think he's the most interesting character to keep. But he is kind of the face of Fire Emblem. Maybe the only other character that could match that is Chrom, and I'll talk about Chrom later. But I think we're keeping Marth for now. If I had a choice, I'd probably keep Lucina over Marth. I think I like her a lot better. She's the prettier Marth. They're both princesses, as we all know. I love the fact that you thought Marth was female, because that is like the running joke that Marth is female because of how he looks. He's got a very princess vibe to him, unfortunately. But no, Marth is a prince. He always has been. We can just choose to. We can always choose to reject reality, and I think it's only fair in the case of, is Marth a princess or a prince? He's a princess, and he will always be the prettiest princess. But I think Lucina's prettier, actually. But I personally would prefer Lucina. I like her character more because she actually has a character. Controversial statement, maybe, but I do feel like Marth does not have anything other than, like, insert character protagonist, inherently good boy. Lucina at least has, like, the history of her game where she had to effectively survive all of her parents being dead and, like, a band of, like, kids banding together to, like, fight against evil. Her story to me is a little bit more interesting, and she gets a lot of character development because of her because of how the, like, character exchanges worked in Fire Emblem Awakening. So getting to relive her trauma, getting to, like, finally make that connection with her parent that was up until that point dead to her. I have a much greater connection to Lucina's character and her story than I have ever had with Marth. So that's why I would personally keep Lucina over Marth, but I do think overall Marth has the bigger presence in the Fire Emblem existence for Smash, I suppose. So I regretfully would have to keep him over Lucina, even if I would personally keep Lucina. I also like Lucina's gameplay better. So they are effectively the same character. The difference is Marth has what's called the tipper mechanic, where if you hit people with the tip of his sword, it effectively does a critical hit. It does more damage. It sends enemies flying further. So it is a mechanic that is unique to Marth for the most part. More on Roy later. I guess there are characters that have sweet spots, but Marth was like the original, like, it is his defining character thing, aside from being like one of the first sword wielding characters next to Link in Smash. But he beats out his own unique identity, I guess, in terms of gameplay. Lucina is the balanced, more consistent character of the two, because the way she works is, rather than have a tipper mechanic, all of her damage is balanced across the sword, so regardless of where you hit, it does the same amount of damage. So she's more consistent, and I like her. I like, in Smash, I like consistent characters that I know what I'm going to get when I use them, and I can expect it every time. And so, yeah, again, I personally would keep Lucina, and you know what, this is my list. I could just say cut Marth, keep Lucina, but if I'm using the other metrics that I set for myself in making this list, Lucina out, Marth in. Next character is Young Link. Young Link is going. Young Link is, again, a nod to Ocarina of Time, but like I mentioned before, like Sheik, I think there's been enough time between now and Ocarina of Time, aside from its re-releases on the DS, and I think it's been made available on Nintendo Switch Online services, so it's not completely gone from the public eye, but I personally feel that it does not need all that representation. I would say, if anything, just give... actually, never mind. I think Young Link definitely goes, because he plays very similar to Link. Yes, he has different attacks, sort of, but a lot of them are just kind of... He's like Dr. Mario and Pichu, where he's like a step down from an Echo Fighter. He doesn't have enough of a unique identity, and I don't think the game that he pays homage to, or homage to rather, is relevant. Cornflies, not good. Need to kill Spawner, but do not have way of killing Spawner. I hate this room. Get me out, please. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, well. This is like the worst enemy in the entire possible, like, pantheon of enemies I could have for this challenge, I swear. Okay, wait. How many hits did I take in this room? I think 3. What an awful room. Anything? Wow, the Bible keeps showing up. Not creepy at all. We'll take the Soul Heart. We need the survivability. Alright, back to the list. So Young Link's out. Ganondorf, however, absolutely staying. One of my favorite characters to play. Like I said before, Smash needs more villains. Ganondorf is like the quintessential Zelda villain. There's no getting rid of that bad boy. We keep him and we show him off to all of our friends. He is by far my favorite character to just pull out of my pocket, say, I don't necessarily want to win. I just want to hit someone with my big-ass sword and watch them go flying across the screen. And if I can pull off a Warlock Punch, especially a reverse Warlock Punch coming out of the air, well, you're just dead. And I'm going to have fun for that. For me, he's one of my favorite characters to play in terms of fun. High Priestess. Maybe I can use that on the boss room. Might save it for the heart, honestly, if I have anything worth using it for. I'm going to go back and get this gold chest. On the off chance I get something that gives me HP or Guppy, you know. I'd like to at least have the chance. It is a waste of 2 keys, potentially, but... It was a waste of 2 keys, potentially. But hey, I got more coins. I can afford another thing in the shop. A soul heart plus an item. Plus almost another soul heart if I'm lucky. I'm going to go do these extra rooms, too, just because I am trying to farm HP while in the process of losing it. Okay, good, that worked. I didn't expect that to work. Alright, well, 2 charges on the, or 1 charge on the Book of Revelations isn't terrible. It's one step closer to a soul heart. Anyway, but Ganondorf has a unique identity, a unique kit. He used to be a clone. He actually used to be a clone of Captain Falcon, but now, since... I forget if they was the same in Brawl. I think they differentiated him in Brawl, but they definitely differentiated him in Smash 4. Ever since then, he's kind of been his own character, but you can see the similarities. His down B is similar to Falcon's. His down air is kind of similar to Falcon. His up air. Actually, it's weird. A lot of his moves are clones of Falcon's attacks, yet somehow he feels entirely unique. I guess because he's so slow and so powerful, he just feels like a very different character to Captain Falcon's rush down really fast, high damage, or lower damage, but higher, like, onslaught. Onslaught isn't the right word, but, like, faster rate of attack. There we go. Sort of mechanics. But anyway, I guess he still is sort of a clone of Falcon the more I think about it. Uh-oh. Don't get hit, and boom. It took a while there. Do I get a double deal? I get an angel deal. Okay, let's see what we get. Not amazing, but we take what we can get. I didn't realize that the angels could give little harbingers, because I always associated that as a devil deal item. Interesting enough. Anyway, I'm rambling more about the game this episode than the Smash roster. It looks like I'm going to be talking about this for quite a couple episodes. Oops. Anyway, so who else? Ganondorf definitely keeping. One of my favorite characters to play. Repeating myself. Let's go. Mewtwo. Mewtwo's next. Mewtwo is absolutely keeper. I feel like if there was a quote-unquote villain character to put in Pokemon, Mewtwo feels like he is one. Mewtwo, if you've watched the movies, isn't really necessarily a villain. He is just like a... He has different views from the characters. I don't know if that's necessarily the correct way of phrasing it, but he wasn't necessarily a villain. But in Smash, they've always kind of played him as a villain. His laugh makes him feel very menacing. I can't even try to replicate it, but he is portrayed villain-esque in Smash especially. So I feel that he could be quote-unquote the villain representation of Pokemon. I definitely favor keeping him. Plus, he is a unique character in terms of his abilities, his gameplay. I think he stands out well enough, and even beyond that, he's just a fan favorite character. I mean, Mewtwo is one of the most popular Pokemon, and for good reason. His design is cool. He's psychic. He's really strong. He was like the quintessential secret legendary of the first generation, which Nintendo will never let us forget, and he keeps coming back because every time the first generation gets re-released, Mewtwo's front and center. So I think Mewtwo absolutely stays. Roy I'm going to get rid of for a couple reasons. One, he is effectively a clone of Marth. The gameplay is too similar. The thing that they gave Roy to make him stand out from Marth is that they made him fast, hard-hitting, and do more damage the closer to the hilt of the sword you land his attacks with. But a lot of his attacks are very similar to Marth, if not the same, but slower. Or now, they made him a lot faster in Smash 4, so not even slower. He used to be slow. He used to be the slow version of Marth, pretty much, with a worse recovery. He's meted out a bit of a more different personality, but beyond that, I don't think he's done enough to stand out and be worthy of being the replacement for Marth. The only cool thing that he has that really makes him stand out to me as a unique character is his neutral B, where Marth charges his neutral B and does a forward lunge that can penetrate shields. Roy's is an instant kill if he fully charges it. And so I remember in Melee particularly, my favorite reason for playing Marth was charging up that attack while playing with a whole bunch of friends and just letting it out when no one was paying attention and trying to get the kill. And then I also, when I was doing like classic mode, I think it was, where you just fight, it's kind of like the game mode where you fight wave after wave of other characters with like sometimes contextual or like slightly different gameplay. Like sometimes Giant DK was like the classic Donkey Kong being a giant, and then it's you plus 2 other CPUs trying to fight him because he just does not take any knockback until he's like at 300% of his HP. I remember just playing that mode over and over again as Roy and just abusing CPU AI and blowing them up with his neutral B, and that was a lot of fun. But memories aside, nostalgia is not a good excuse to keep a character in a game. I've already unfortunately had to make that that comment for Captain Falcon and Jigglypuff, characters who I would absolutely keep if I had a choice. But yeah, I think Roy does not have enough of a unique history or identity at this point to really make him stand out to me and want to keep in the game. Chrom is another one where I could argue either way, but I am ultimately going to cut him. The reason why I could argue for keeping him is, again, next to Marth, I think Chrom probably has the most identifiability in Smash at this point because of how significant Awakening was for repopularizing the franchise. And if we go based on that, there is a place for Chrom, and I could even make an argument looking at Ike, who I personally would keep. I think Ike is different enough from Marth insofar as being like the slower, heavy version of Marth to make him different enough. But I would personally say keep Chrom over Ike and just give Chrom Ike's moveset and like gameplay style, because they kind of already did that. Chrom is 99% Roy Echo Fighter. He has exactly the same moveset as Roy and the same mechanics, except his up B, which is Ike's. And so because of that that idea, my preference again would be get rid of Roy. Get rid of Roy and get rid of Ike and give Chrom Ike's abilities. Because Ike also has something similar to Roy's neutral B, where he charges it up and just launches a giant explosion of an attack that does. It can be an instant kill in some cases. So that would be my personal bias for it. But with the limitations I set for myself, I ended up cutting both Chrom and Ike, and I'll talk about Ike more when I actually get to him. But we're cutting Chrom. Next up, Mr. Game & Watch. Now, I don't think you're going to agree with me on this one, Kiwi, but I'm going to keep Mr. Game & Watch. His gameplay is so unique. His side B is hilarious if you're just playing around that, because sometimes you just get a free kill. Because why not put that on a character? Just give you an RNG chance of winning. But more realistically, his gameplay is unique. The Game & Watch is still some degree of relevant because they're releasing like remakes of his games. And I do feel that Game & Watch has enough of a unique gameplay and identity that he is worth keeping in Smash. I don't like playing against him. I don't like playing as him. So personal bias, I would personally remove him for those reasons. But I think we keep him. I do think we keep him ultimately. He doesn't necessarily. He is also like one of the first ever Nintendo games. He has a historical significance, if you will, even if he does not have a personal one. Please don't touch me. I'm killing him with the creep. Alright, works for me. And Soul Heart? Tiny Rock. Very useful. Okay. Took more damage in this room than I would have liked, not for the reason that I expected. On to Mom. Don't take that out of context. Ugh, gross. Anyway, yeah, keeping Game & Watch. Meta Knight. Meta Knight, I did not cut in my original 40. And what I effectively did was I said, okay, these are characters that I could argue being cut, but I want to keep Meta Knight. And the reason for that is, let's ignore Brawl for a second, where he was an unrestrained monster that needed to be taken down, which he absolutely did in Smash 4. He got nerfed pretty hard in Smash 4. Oh, you know what? Buddy in the Box is huge because now I actually do have a shot if I want to shoot. When my brains are down, for example. Let's get rid of them. Man, Bob's brain takes forever to fire when you enter a room. Anyway, I already forgot who I was talking about. We were talking about Meta Knight. So Meta Knight, to me, is a pretty cool looking character, just in terms of design and in terms of gameplay. I think he's pretty unique. He's a sword wielding character, but he has multiple jumps, like every character from the Kirby franchise, and his B moves are at least identifiable enough to set him apart from the other characters, I would say. I'm gonna take the Fool here so that I can steal something from... Oh wait, what am I doing? I'm taking this the really slow way. There's no way I'm getting the boss rush. For some, I'm thinking that I'm still playing speedrun. For somehow this is anything but a speedrun. I am taking it super slow. Anyway, but yeah, I personally want to keep Meta Knight. I think he's got enough of an identity. He's in so many of the Kirby games as like the rival character outside of King Dedede being like the core villain causing the trouble. That I think he's earned his place in Smash. But I do think there is a very fair argument for removing him from Smash. And then again, of course, his time in Brawl, he definitely needed to be knocked down a peg because he was too strong in Brawl. He had everything a character could possibly want. His mix-up game was absurd. His down B made him invulnerable, and there was a glitch in the game that let you keep that invulnerability for so long at the cost of not being able to actually do anything yourself other than be in your invulnerable state of down B. But the mix-up, the mind games, it gave him like free entry back onto stages. He was such a, and his combo potential, his damage output, his ability to kill at both low and high percentages. He was a monster in Brawl, and he was very fun to play too. But he very much felt like a character that if you wanted to fight a Meta Knight, you needed to learn how to play Meta Knight. He was like, he will always be like the perfect character in Smash Brawl. Beyond that, though, again, I'm going to keep him in my initial roster, but I very much can make an argument for removing him because I feel like Kirby and Dedede, they are protag and villain of their respective series, and I think that's enough. I could argue very much that that's enough, but I'm keeping Meta Knight on my list for now. Ooh, cool skeleton key. Don't know if I'm going to use that for anything, but at least I have it. Who else? So next up is Pit. Okay. So, I made the argument for Ice Climbers that they have not really had a relevant game in a very long time. Kid Icarus had Kid Icarus Uprising on the DS a way while ago. And it was a lot of fun. I personally didn't play it, but I had to watch the playthrough because the writing in that game, the characters are just so fun. They're lively. They constantly banter with each other. The dialogue in that game is really fun. I've used fun to describe it now like 3 times, but you get the point. I think Kid Icarus Uprising is a underrated classic, and I'm very hopeful it gets ported in some capacity to one of the more modern consoles. Well, obviously, I mean the Switch, because I think it should be experienced. I'm not a fan of it, of the gyro controls used to control it. The gyro controls and the touchscreen controls. So it would probably take some work to like rebalance it and make it playable. But I absolutely think there is a way to do it, and it'll be a lot of fun if they do it. So personally, I think Pit has his place. Dark Pit, on the other hand, is an Echo Fighter, and we've already made my stance on Echo Fighters very clear. I don't think they need to exist. Dark Pit has a different personality from Pit, but their gameplay is very similar. There are some attacks that are like, if you want to put a twist on it sort of thing, but nothing to really like change their core identity and make them better. I do think taking Gimpy here is the move, But can I take it without taking damage is the question. 3, 2, 1, go! Yeah! Alright, now if I take damage, I have a chance of getting some hearts. So I'd say that's a pretty good deal. 1 heart for potentially more hearts in the future. Alright. We're on the final 3 4s now. But anyway, yeah. I think Pitt's kit is identifiable, it's unique, his personality is fun. I love that they have, quote-unquote, the codex from Snake, where basically if you're on the right stage and you press the right combination of taunts, Pitt talks to Palutena at her temple, and they talk about the character. I think that's a really fun thing to do. Of course, like I made the argument for Kirby's hat and Mario's capture mechanic, if they ever put Odyssey-type mechanics into Smash. Every time they make a new character, now they have to make new dialogue. And that is a resource and time-consuming endeavor. So that's probably from a developer standpoint the one downside to keeping Pitt in the game. But beyond that, I definitely think Pitt has a right to be in the game. And Dark Pit does not, because he's just edgier Pit with slightly different B moves. Next up, Zero Suit Samus. Okay, this one was a hard one for me because I love Zero Suit Samus. She is, if I look at my statistics, Zero Suit Samus is my most played character, even though she isn't my main. Just because I spent so much time playing her to help you learn how to play her. Zero Suit Samus is your main for sure. I mean, your 3 mains are Ridley, Corrin, and Zero Suit Samus. And Zero Suit Samus, also her gameplay very much fits my preferred playstyle. She is a rushdown character, and I like my combo-focused rushdown characters like ZSS. But if I look at her objectively and talk about her in terms of what her role is in the Nintendo history and Smash and her gameplay, I think her gameplay makes her stand out. I think she's very fun. But I don't think she has enough of a history in Smash. The only thing she serves to do in Smash is to make people realize, wait, Samus is a girl? And I don't think that's enough of a reason for her to be in Smash. I mean, I will forever lament the loss of her if she is removed from the game. I think she was really cool in Brawl because she was effectively a secret character. She was not a character you could directly choose on character select without like knowing the secret code, quote unquote. You needed to press a certain combination of buttons while selecting Samus to get Zero Suit, and you're not told you have Zero Suit until you actually get in the game. Otherwise, the only way to get Zero Suit is to use Samus's Final Smash, which if you're playing with items, ooh, hello. Okay, this is big. I think I take all of the. I don't know what this one is, which means I'm going to take it, but I'm taking all of these. Spider Mod can give me energy. 9 Volt will make me charge up faster. Nun's Habit, every time I get hit, I get another I get another charge. What is this? Keeper's Box, portable shop. Oh, nah, not interested. I have a lot of coins, so let's feed this guy and see what he gives us. And while I do that, okay, HP. We take HP. Do I feed the? I don't have a need for these keys anymore either, so let's feed the key beggar and see what he gives me. Not a whole lot. Alright, Lucky Penny is nice. Do I have anything that scales with luck, though? I don't actually know. Oh. Oh. I think we take this. I'm not gonna get anything out of running this floor more than just a couple hearts, or more likely a loss of hearts. And 1 item, possibly a double deal. I think it's worth it. We skipped this floor. Okay. Well, that was a pretty substantial room. Oh, right, I forgot. Spider Mod shows you your damage and your enemy's HP, which I honestly love. I wish I had the Spider Mod for that fight against the Legend of Zelda type challenge that I did earlier, because I really want to know how close I was to killing that enemy. I wish there was a way to know. Alright, High Priestess. I think we take the Empress. That gives me more damage, but does it actually... I don't think it scales with Bob's Brain, so we'll keep this. We'll save it for the Isaac fight. But yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I think the last time Zero Suit Samus showed up in a game was Metroid Other M, and that game was not terribly well received for a number of reasons, most importantly making Samus's personality way less cool and less interesting than she deserved. Samus is a bounty hunter. She is Samus is so cool as a character. And and again, let me preface this with the saying, I never actually played Other M. I watched a Let's Play of it. And even then, I didn't even finish the Let's Play. I just kind of lost interest. But Samus's character is way cooler than what they wrote her as in Other M. She does not need a male character to, like, dictate what she does or depend on. That was just lame. But I digress. I think... as much as I love Zero Suit Samus, and she's one of my favorite and most played characters, I do not think, if I had to choose characters to stay in this game, I don't think she is the character that earns her spot, unfortunately. The only other thing I'll say before I move on from Zero Suit Samus is I'm pretty sure it was a match between Mars and MKLeo back when MKLeo was like this undefeatable Goliath of a force in the competitive Smash World. When like Mars using his Zero Suit Samus and like just absolutely destroying MKLeo in a tournament. I can't remember which tournament it was specifically, but probably one of my favorite moments in competitive Smash. Like, I like MKLeo. I think he's a really good player, but it was like the underdog. It's the underdog story, you know. It's a well-known, accomplished competitive player going up against the champion of the game, like the undefeated, not quite undefeated, but like just this undefeatable, terrifying force of nature in the competitive field. It's just it was such a hype moment, and it's a fond memory in association with Zero Suit Samus, alongside all of the other fond memories of Zero Suit Samus that we've shared together, I suppose. Next up, we have got Wario. Okay. I kind of wanted to keep Wario, but he was one of the last characters I chose to remove from the 40 characters I was removing. And the reason for it is, well, I do think he has enough of a unique gameplay. I think the challenge here is all of the Mario representatives have a unique identity, a unique gameplay for the most part. Dr. Mario, I'm looking at you. And they have some sort of history with Nintendo games. Well, everyone does, I guess, but you know what I mean. Like, they have a clear connection with modern Nintendo history as well as historic Nintendo history, if that makes sense. Wario, I could make the argument that he's thriving on WarioWare. In fact, a recent WarioWare game was just released, I'm pretty sure. But for me, I guess it's also a part of, I just do not have a personal connection with Wario. So I think part of the reason I'm getting rid of Wario is that third category of just personal bias, and not necessarily for a better reason than that, unfortunately. I think I like his moves. I think his new moves are unique. I could do without the waft just because it's gross, meaning his down B where he farts and just kills you at like 30%. But he's got a unique identity. He's like this. He's coded as like the lovable, evilable idiot. The lovable, evilable, idiotable. Okay. And I do think he has enough of an identity to stand out in Smash, both in terms of gameplay and character trait. He just isn't the character for me, so I think that's ultimately why I removed him. And losing him over other characters I'm going to keep later on in the story, you can definitely choose to disagree with me. Of course, like, I don't know. There's not enough to him that makes me want to keep him, I guess, which is unfortunate, because I do think he should be kept in future rosters. And I expect that he will be kept because he has enough games and identity to stand out. I am going to take this because it gives me damage when I don't have charge. And I think we're sitting pretty on enough HP right now that it's not... I still can't pick that up. Okay, interesting. I have enough HP that I think I can tank it. I believe... What is this called? Is it called the Chapel? I've forgotten. Cathedral, that's what it is. The Cathedral. I think there's only one floor in the Cathedral. We're not going to do that. We're hunting for a boss and we're going to slay him. Oh god, these ghost enemies are going to be a nightmare in this challenge. Or not. Oh, okay. That was way easier than expected. It is very nice to have an outside source of damage beyond Bob's Brain, though. I didn't think familiars were going to be the thing that carry the run, but it makes sense that they would. Now that I guess I just hadn't considered them. Still think this is one of my least... This is definitely one of my least favorite enemies overall, though. I hate the ghost enemies. My brain can't keep up with them. They always end up getting a hit on me, although somehow I've threaded the needle on these guys enough so far. Cool. Just one left, I think. Where are you gonna be and how are you gonna get flied? There we go. Okay, sorry. Needed to use a little bit more brain to kill that than anything else this run, I think. Don't know what I expected, but it wasn't this. Okay. As much as I need coins, I think I'll save my bombs for not using them instead. Anyway, alright, back to... So we were talking about... Alright, I think we're good on Wario. Let's move on. So the next one on the roster is Snake. I want to keep Snake. He has a... Metal Gear Solid is an iconic franchise. Albeit maybe a dead one now because of what Konami did to Kojima. Oh, I can't believe I made it through that. Now I just have to do it one more time and now deal with spiders at the same time. That doesn't feel like it was doable, but somehow I accomplished. Anyway, Snake's gameplay, character identity, everything about him is unique, historic, checks off all the marks to say, okay, we keep him in Smash. I will say, of all the characters in this game, he's one of the least Nintendo-looking characters, which, not to discredit his design, I think his design is really cool, but he does sort of not fit in with the rest of the roster, I would say, to some capacity. Like, he's a military dude. Not a lot of, like, characters in this game are obviously have military history, but, like, he is, like, a human in the military sort of identity, which is odd, I would say. It doesn't feel very Nintendo. Even though Nintendo made Advance Wars, which is, and Fire Emblem is, entirely built around military. I don't know. I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong, but there's something about his character that makes him feel a little bit out of place. Maybe it's because he's like gun-based military. I don't know. Either way, I still vote to keep him because I think he's unique. His gameplay's fun. Like Pit, he has the Codex where he can like on the correct stage in the right context. He can get dialogue specific to every character that he's fighting, which I think is really fun. Much to the lamentation of the devs who have to write all that dialogue and stuff and use resources for it. But yeah, Snake is staying. Snake is staying. Next up is Ike. So I kind of touched on it before, but I'm cutting Ike. And the reason for that is Ike, again, kind of ends up being a Marth clone almost. And I say that very loosely with Ike. He is a sword-wielding character with attacks similar in vein to Marth, but he really did etch out his own identity in Smash. I really don't think of him as a Marth clone anymore. He's slow, he's heavy, his attacks are less combo-focused, more singular hits that do a lot of damage, but he does have actual combo potential and kill moves in Smash Ultimate, so that's not entirely correct to claim him as a combo-less character altogether. His recovery is far worse than Marth's in a lot of instances, but you can depend on his mix-up game with his side B and his up B to try and get him on stage, but he can struggle a little bit off stage, to say the least. Ike is one of my favorite characters to play, too, so it's not like I want to get rid of him, but I don't think he has enough of a unique identity with his moves to make him stand out enough and be worthy of avoiding the cutting block like some of the other characters I'm going to talk about. And the funny thing is, I do keep a bunch of Fire Emblem characters, just not the ones that are mostly just they swing their sword and do damage. I mean, well, that's every Fire Emblem character. That's the wrong way to phrase it, but I guess I'll make my case when I get to the characters that I am keeping, I suppose. I don't think Ike does enough to distinguish himself, and again, my preference would be keep his gameplay, but put it on Chrom, so we keep Chrom as the Fire Emblem Awakening representative. That being the case, I already got rid of Chrom too, so, you know. But I think that's enough on Ike. I'll leave it at that because I feel like this run is about to end, and I don't want to start talking about Pokemon Trainer this far into a run and have to like stay at the victory screen just to do that. Alright, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do this. I'm gonna remember to use a bomb. Haha, I used a bomb. Praise me. Alright, challenge complete. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my ramblings about Smash. I made maybe like another 15 characters in this video. Maybe? I'm not sure. I'm not going to count. But I hope you're sleeping well if you're asleep. I hope this is helping you fall asleep if you're awake. I love you, Kiwi. I'll see you in the next... Oh, actually, you know what? Let's complete the challenge and see what we unlock first. And then I'll see you in the next one. Oh. It's a good thing I didn't stop recording, because it wasn't Blue Baby that I needed to beat, it was actually Isaac. Okay, this run is still going. We're going to talk about Pokemon Trainer. This is really, really awkward. Oops. Oh my goodness, I messed up bad, didn't I? Alright, anyway. Pokemon Trainer. Absolutely keeping Pokemon Trainer. An amazing representative of the Pokemon series, and actually kind of represents what Pokemon is. You are, Pokemon has always been a trainer carrying his Pokemon. Cool, 1 coin. I don't know. I really, really like... There have only been a couple quote-unquote stance-changing characters in this game. Meaning characters, usually with their down B, that switch from one character to another. In fighting games, stance changes usually refer to, like, okay, you go from, like, a fast and it's still usually the same character. It's not quite like what Smash does, but it's you go from maybe a hard-hitting, combo-focused character to a solitary, heavy hitter or more projectile-focused. You effectively change the way the character plays while still being the same character, almost. This is miserable. They're too tanky to one-shot. Anyway. So I really like stance change characters. There's a reason why I really enjoy playing Pyra/Mythra, because they have the two things that I like most. The slow heavy hitter and the rush down fast combo focused character in Mythra. So anyway, where was I? Pokemon Trainer we're absolutely keeping. I do think it would be really cool if you changed up the Pokemon that Pokemon Trainer used, but I don't think they would redesign Pokemon Trainer as a whole just to do that. Squirtle, Ivysaur, Charizard. I mean, you have to have Charizard. Charizard is the most popular Pokemon, maybe after Pikachu. I know Gengar's up there too, but I think, like, unquestionably Charizard is, and everyone knows it, is one of the, if not the most popular Pokemon ever created. So Nintendo will never let that go, and especially if he's going to be represented in Smash, Charizard's going to be there. Squirtle and Ivysaur. I mean, in Brawl, it was just Charizard, wasn't it? No, I'm misspeaking. I'm trying to remember. It may be because I played Project M and Charizard had his... I don't know. I digress. There's no way you get rid of Charizard. Ivysaur, you could argue, isn't nearly as popular. I mean, the whole Bulba line isn't nearly as popular, even though it's my favorite of the three from the original starters. And Ivysaur is still my favorite of the three in the Pokemon Trainer's arsenal. And Squirtle, I mean, I do think there's absolutely a way to, like, make it so you have, like, that generation starters, for example. But you'd have to design 3 characters in one, and no one's going to want to do that on the dev team. So I completely understand why they keep them separate like this. I think there is so much untapped potential that they could have if they chose to go that route. But Pokemon Trainer, absolutely here to stay. Fun character, interesting design, very unique gameplay. Stance change is very... there are very few characters in Smash that have stance changes. I think all in all, absolutely a character worthy of staying in Smash. Next up, let me look at my list. And get hit at the same time. I guess that's my fault. I probably should have looked away. I forget, who comes after Pokemon Trainer? Oops. Diddy Kong. Okay. I do not like Diddy Kong. I have never liked Diddy Kong, both playing as him or playing against him. So I'm going to admit there is going to be some personal bias in this one. But even then, I maintain the position. I don't think Diddy Kong needs to stay in this game. I do think I 100% agree that his gameplay is unique, his character identity is unique, and he checks off the first 2 boxes that I kind of set as stipulations for who stays, who goes. But for me, this is where personal bias definitely comes into play. If there were a character from the DK experience that I was going to cut from this game, it's going to be Diddy Kong. I mean, if I'm looking at him objectively, I would probably say keep him. But I don't like Diddy Kong. And for me, that's enough on this. He's like the only character I'm truly cutting because I don't like playing against him. I don't like playing as him. I don't want him in my Smash. Hashtag not my Smash. He's not my Smash brother. Anyway. After Diddy, we have Lucas. Okay, so Lucas is another character that I really, really like playing. I honestly like playing him more than Ness, I would say. Or, I would say I like playing him more than Ness in Brawl, at least. I think since then I've kind of fallen out of love with Lucas. But unfortunately, Mother 3 versus Earthbound, one is far more relevant to the Western side of the audience. I have no major personal connection to either, aside from their potential influence. Oh, that looks really cool, all that chip damage there. What was even hitting him? I have no major connection with Lucas or Ness, unfortunately, beyond their time in Smash. And I think if you're going to pick one, you have to pick Ness, because Ness is the more known of the two characters. So, unfortunately, I am going to cut Lucas, but I think overall, if I was playing casually, I definitely prefer playing Lucas in, like, Party Smash. Ness is more my 1v1 sort of character. With all that said, this time I'm actually going to finish the challenge correctly. Let's see what we get. Studfinger. No idea what that does. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching. If you're awake and it's helping you fall asleep, I hope you're sleeping well if you're asleep. I love you, Kiwi. I'll see you in the next one for real this time. Bye-bye now.